All right, friends, it's T, and I'm back with a new video, and it's Greg Doucette again, my friends. Yes, the influencer, the gym fitness recruiting lifting slave himself, Greg Doucette. He's doing a video again on Tristan Lee, natty or not again. Oh my God, again, Jesus! Just because somebody ate a bunch of food and gained a bunch of phony muscles, gained a bunch of weight, doesn't mean they took steroids. But whatever. Let's hear what Greg Doucette has to say. Greg Doucette, the lifting slave or gym slave says, or should I say steroid slave, says Tristan Lee no longer natty. And he would know, right? Man, this is ridiculous, but okay, let's hear what he has to say.
Do you really think that a natural bodybuilder can up their calories by 1,500, go on a bulk in a 1,500 calorie surplus, and all of it turns to muscle? When has somebody gone on that?
No, it won't turn all to muscle. It'll turn into... He's eating carbs now. He went on a carbohydrate diet. He started eating carbs. So what did he get? Glycogen. He got a secondary shift in bodybuilding. They call that sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. I can prove it in science. It tells you that. You want me to prove it to you? I can prove it to you right now. Before I start this video. I even recently posted it again. I posted it again, but a different NCBI report. So there's so many of them, but it's always the same stuff over and over again, but whatever. Okay, let's go over it. Here's the NCBI report. Current concepts of muscle and tendon adaptation to strength and conditioning. Okay, so yeah, it's a 2015 paper. It came out not long ago, 2015. Okay, what, 9 years ago. Okay, the muscle fiber or myofibril is okay, forget that part. Let's just skip here to the bottom part. Okay, this is more important. During resistance training, okay, so we have micro damage to architecture of the muscle occurs. This damage to the muscle stimulates activity, proliferation of satellite cells. Okay, satellite cells, precursors to myofibers, are located between the sarcolemma and basilar. Satellite cells can contribute their nuclei to the myofibriller. This addition of the nuclei can aid synthesis of contractile proteins. That's what they do. You need more of these nuclei to synthesize protein, okay, to further that domain, the myonuclear domain in myofibrillar growth. Okay. So what is the secondary thing in hypertrophy? Okay, so this is hypertrophy in muscle fiber or myofibrillar. All right. And they tell you at the top here is comprised of thousands of sarcomeres. The sarcomere, which is the functional unit of the muscle, consists of several proteins that are involved in the contraction of skeletal muscles. I hate reading this stuff because this is so boring for me, bro. Involved in contraction of skeletal muscles, hypertrophy of muscle fibers is considered the primary mechanism associated with increases in PCSA due to resistance training. It only happens in an adaptation. Now, what is the secondary shift? A proposed secondary mode of muscular hypertrophy is known as sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. And what is sarcoplasmic hypertrophy? It is a type of artificial muscle growth. You're simply loading fluid in the muscle for that visual aspect, get it? To pretend that you look big and jacked. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is a result of an increases in fluid and non-contractile components that compromise muscle. This form of hypertrophy, which has been observed in bodybuilders, may be the result of specific training stimulus. Researchers, and it's the training and the eating, it's really the eating stimulus, yeah. You want to know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. Researchers have found that bodybuilders have higher glycogen content levels than individuals who primarily perform exercises to enhance muscular power. Well, there you go. Differences in muscle bulk due to changes in non-contractile elements of the muscle in bodybuilders may be due to training strategies and eating and a bunch of stuff. So it's sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Okay, dude? It's not hard to figure this stuff out.
That dramatic of a bulk, and almost all those calories turning to muscle. I would argue never.
Non-contractile. It didn't say it turned into muscle. It said non-contractile. It's glycogen. Man, you think that Greg would know this? Why does he have to say that just because somebody gained some weight, they took drugs? This is stupid.
Coach Greg, in today's video, Tristan Lee is no longer natural. Now, in the past, it made...
What do you mean he's no longer natural? He wasn't natural then and before and all. He's no longer natural again? You said that a long time ago when he's on the carnivore diet. He looks small. I told you that before. I doubt he was ever on any steroids. He's on a carnivore diet, and his body reacts really good on carnivore diet because he's a teenager. Have you seen his family? They look pretty skinny. They're all skinny people like him, an ectomorph, okay? He's an ectomorph, dude.
Video saying Tristan Lee was not natty. Then I made a video saying I think he's natural now, but...
He's small. He's tiny. What are you talking about?
This time, I think it's beyond any reasonable doubt that Tristan Lee is no longer natural. Now, personally, what I think is he was...
Oh, my God. He wasn't. Man, Greg can't make up his mind.
In fact, enhanced back in the day. Then he went off of those enhancements, but that now he...
And then he went off of them, and then what happened? Wouldn't it, all of this so-called what he got, if he went off these enhancements, then he'd be nothing, wouldn't he?
Decided to do it yet again. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right.
You're wrong.
This is my opinion. I'm going to show you the evidence. We're going...
Oh, man, the evidence. I just showed the evidence, man. NCBI, they plaster everywhere. Sarcoplasmic, myofibular. They explain this.
To watch Tristan Lee, and at the end of the video, you can decide for yourself. May 19th, Tristan Lee officially posted...
Have you seen him eating with Greg Doucette's friend, that bodybuilding guy? What's his name? He's on I saw him. They were eating together. They were eating cow's tongue and a bunch of stuff. And I don't know. He didn't like the food that Tristan was eating. Look at Tristan, how skinny he is on the left. You could tell. He's got no chest, no nothing. He was always like that on a carnivore diet. And people were pushing him to do what? Carbohydrates. And this is what happens when you take carbohydrates. You look like that. Pumped out. You look
an after photo. 137 pounds.
Here he never moved for any adaptations. He was just a lifting slave. He never moved for... If he moved for some adaptations, he could have got these micro damages, this damage to the myofibular. But that only ever happens in an adaptation, and he probably doesn't understand the formula. And then you need to give it a week to repair and remodel, a week and 14 days or whatever, 10, 14 days to repair and remodel. And then only then can it be, you can get another adaptation in that thing. And protein synthesis needs to exceed this breakdown. And so he wasn't doing that. And so what? That's why he looked so small there. And now, what did he do? Carbs. What is it? Glycogen. Non-contractile what? Like I just read you.
The before photo, 177 pounds in the after photo. In 12 months, he put on 40 pounds. Now remember,
he put on 40 pounds of non-contractile proteins.
40 pounds when you weigh 137 pounds and you're only 5'5", if he is in fact that tall, is a lot harder to gain than if you're, for example...
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, why? Greg is lying to you. Like it said here. It says here, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is a result of increase in fluid and non-contractile components that compromise muscle. This form of hypertrophy, which has been observed in bodybuilders, may be the result of specific training. Yeah, it's specific eating. Researchers have found, this is the training, have found that bodybuilders have higher what? Glycogen content levels than in individuals who primarily perform exercises to enhance muscular power. So what is Greg talking about?
Example, 237 pounds, you put on 40 pounds. As a percentage, as a proportion of his size, 40 pounds from being 137 is a lot. It's so much so that even with performance-enhancing drugs, it's truly remarkable. Imagine.
Man, I've done videos on sarcoplasmic hypertrophy on my old channel, man. I put on 20 pounds in working out once a week. In a 5-week period, working out only once a week, and the rest of the week I kept glycogen loading. Put on 20 pounds of these sarcoplasmic muscles. I put on 20 pounds easily in less than 5 weeks, practically 4 weeks. Yeah. So you're telling me it's steroids because I ate a bunch of bowls of potatoes? Give me a fucking break, dude.
You're 137 pounds right now. You want to develop your physique. You've been training for perhaps 5+ years. Remember, Tristan Lee has no longer got new gains. He's been training his entire life. Suddenly...
It's nothing. He carved from 137 to 177. Big deal. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know, 30 something, whatever pounds. Yeah, he filled out.
You then put on 40 pounds. 40 pounds of muscle is essentially how much muscle I put in.
He put on 40 pounds of sarcoplasmic, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, non-contractile proteins. Okay, dude? Christ.
The last 20 years. It's absolutely remarkable. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, but he went on a bulk. A lot of that is water retention, fat, and so on. Look at the photo.
No, it's not. It's glycogen. That's what it is. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. We call that the rebound effect. When you suppress your body, he's been on a carnivore diet for so long. When you suppress your body, we call that in bodybuilding the rebound effect. They use that in farming for chickens. They starve chickens for quite a while. They starve and starve and starve them. And then they overfeed them a whole bunch of food. And then they rebound. They grow really fast. We call that the rebound effect in bodybuilding. That happened to Larry Wheels. So you're telling me that Larry Wheels built muscle, 54 pounds of muscle at the Golden Griddle in 1 week after his competition? Give me a break, bro. That's not all muscle. It's sarcoplasmic fluid. He did it in a week. It took Tristan a little bit longer than that to put on that 40 pounds.
On the left, and look at the photo on the right. Which photo is he in fact leaner?
Well, obviously one he's standing closer to the camera, and the other one he's I think Greg did this on purpose. He focused in on him, pushing him closer. You see this, how he has him closer on the right side, and because he's leaned out here, he's not on any carbs. He's pushed all the way back. These are how these so-called natty lifters, when they go on stage, that's what they look like. Have you seen Revival Fitness, dude? He's like over 6 feet tall, and he's fucking weighing like 140 pounds or something, 130 pounds. He weighs the same as my girlfriend, who's like 6'10". What the fuck, bro? This is crazy. This is mad. This is madness.
Would say perhaps he's slightly higher in body fat, maybe 1, possibly 2%.
No, he's not. He's still the same body fat. What happened is it got washed out. He's washed out when you're doing sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. These so-called cuts, they kind of wash out, but he's an ectomorph. He's skinny.
And so out of those 40 pounds that he gained, it was probably 35 pounds of pure muscle. Massive thank you to...
Absolutely zero muscle. He put on zero, that 40 pounds, he put on zero muscle.
Jared_Feather for the help so far with this bulk. Couldn't have made the progress I did with...
If he actually put on real 40 pounds of myofibrillar growth, 40 pounds, then all his lifts would have gone up. But his lifts are exactly the same as when he was lifting when he was on the carnivore diet. So what the fuck is Greg talking about?
Out his guidance. Remember, Tristan Lee was once a carnivore dieter. He wasn't eating carbs. He was perhaps under-eating. He wasn't taking his health as serious as he should have. And so...
What? He was taking his health very seriously. He was on his natural human diet, carnivore diet.
Is it in fact possible that by just going on a bulk, eating in a calorie surplus, that he would put on all of this muscle?
Sugar is unhealthy. I'm going to explain to you guys right now. Doing sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, loading glycogen in your muscle just so you can show off these phony muscles, it becomes toxic at some point. It corrupts your it corrupts your mitochondria. It'll fuck you in the long run. You'll be screwed up when you get older. It's going to mess you up. Actually, it defeats the purpose. Look, I'll explain this. If you are a competitor in any sport, you definitely do not want sarcoplasmic or glycogen in your muscles because it'll hinder your performance. Like it says there. Look, I can prove it. Let's go back here again. What does it say here? It says, this form of hypertrophy, which has been observed in bodybuilders, may be the result of specific training. Hold on a second. There it is, right there. So it's there, right there. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is the result of increases in fluid of non-contractile components that compromise muscle. They compromise performance, is what it does. It will compromise your performance. You're going to be really slow at boxing. You're going to be slow at running. It'll impede your performance, especially if you're trying to run fast and you want to be in a competition. If you eat sugar, if you eat carbohydrates, you're just screwing yourself. Now, Your body runs better on animal fat as an energy source and for building muscle, real muscle. Stop building these phony muscles and pretending that all you people out there have muscles. None of you are building muscles, you and your newbie gains.
I don't think so.
Your phony gains. And the best is some people write in the comment section, I've reached my genetic limit. There's no such thing, dude. Stop writing bullshit in the comment section. There's no such thing. There's a myonuclear domain limit. All right? There isn't any, I reached my genetic limit. Shut up.
And let's be honest, is this called a bulk or is this main gaining? And remember, when you main gain, which is what I preached, is when you get to a healthy body fat percentage of you roughly keep that same body fat.
My God, this is sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. This is not main gaining.
Percentage, and you simply slowly build muscle over time. And so perhaps
He's not slowly building muscle over time. He carb loaded, just like Larry Wheels, 54 pounds at the Golden Griddle.
a year from now, you're 5, maybe even 10 pounds bigger, but at about the same body fat percentage. Now, if you're shredded single-digit body fat, I encourage people to go on a bulk. Perhaps you're too lean. If you're not eating...
Building muscle is very technical. To build muscle is technical. It's extremely technical. If you don't understand it, I suggest you go back to school and learn.
Enough calories, you can't build that muscle. But if you're already healthy, you're at your ideal body fat percentage.
No, without protein synthesis exceeding this breakdown, yes, you can't build muscle, and being insulin sensitive, but also you can't build it if you haven't gotten an adaptation, because there's nothing to build. No adaptation, nothing to build.
Remember, that is within a certain range. For most people, it's somewhere between 10 and 20% body fat. Then as long as you're within those guidelines, you can, in fact, build plenty of muscle. And so what it appears in my eyes is that Tristan Lee main gained himself to gaining 40 pounds in a year. I don't see...
No, he didn't. He carb loaded, man. That's all he did. He carb load. That's all he did.
A bulk and cut. Does it look like he bulked and then cut? Did he go up to 200 pounds?
No, he didn't bulk. He carb loaded, man. It's glycogen, dude. For every 1 gram of glycogen, 3 grams of water are drawn between the skin and the muscle into the muscle. So I don't know how many grams he was eating. Probably a lot.
Then cut. Does it look like he's at 20+% body fat? Does it look like he got sloppy?
I don't know. Something that looks like something may not be something unless you measure it. See what I mean? Just because he's got some sarcoplasmic hypertrophy and his lines are a bit washed out doesn't mean he gained any body fat.
Doesn't even look close to being at 15%.
How could somebody that is in the bodybuilding field, has got an IFBB Pro card and all this phony, the fake IFBB Pro card and the fake steroids and created the fake muscles and everything, doesn't know the difference between myofibrillar growth and sarcoplasmic? Fuck, it's in every science fucking thing, dude, in NCBI, PubMed. Give me a break.
Body fat. If I had to guess, I would say this man is close to 10% body fat. And next up, he's posing with a...
He is exactly at the same body fat as he was on the carnivore diet, okay?
Top Mr. Olympia competitor, Terrence Ruffin. I literally competed against this man. He won the Niagara Pro Show. I placed 4th in the show. The guy is a monster. He's only 5'5" tall, approximately the same height as Tristan Lee. But he is a mountain of a man. At 5'5", he's weighing in close to 200 pounds. Tristan Lee is literally close to the same size as Terrence Ruffin. Remember, I met Tristan Lee in person.
Again, we call that the rebound effect. Instead of what, I don't know how long he was doing the carbs, how long he started rebounding on carbohydrates. So it's a rebound effect. That's it. He's not on any drugs, and I would put my money on it. He's not on any drugs. The drugs are not doing that. Stop the shit, man.
And I did his body fat percentage. I flexed with him. And trust me, Tristan Lee, in comparison to myself, is a lot smaller. Terrence is bigger than myself. And in this video, Tristan Lee looks nearly as big as Terrence Ruffin. Not saying that he has as great a physique as Terrence, but his size is getting close to what Terrence is. And so imagine, Tristan went from 137 pounds to standing toe-to-toe with a Mr. Olympia competitor in 1 year. And so let's simply argue this.
Okay, so it took him 1 year to put on 40 pounds of sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Hell, I can put it on in a couple of weeks, but okay, whatever.
Say he did do this while being natural. What the heck would he look like if he was enhanced? If he put on 40 pounds, which 35 pounds is muscle in one.
I don't know. What would he look like, Greg? See, now Greg is saying, like, what would he look like if he was enhanced? He put on 40 pounds of sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. I don't know. Maybe he gained a lot more than that if you gave him steroids.
Year. How much would he put on if he was on test trend and so on?
ATP.
Would he put on?
It's an energy source, ATP, dude.
80 pounds? Would he be twice the size of Terrence Ruffin?
So if I gain, like, if I eat stuff that makes I gain more triglyceride in the fat cell, does that too make me fake as well? Am I like a fake natty too because I grew my fat cells, they got bigger? What are you talking about, man? The sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is not regulated by follistatin, myostatin, or the satellite cell. Get it, dude? It's not regulated by that. So you could load a lot of this glycogen in your muscle and then pretend muscles. Okay, Greg? All right, Greg? And the fat cells are not regulated either by follistatin, myostatin, dude. Get it? Fuck me and whatever. And satellite cell.
Would Tristan Lee be an open class bodybuilder competing as a super heavyweight? Of course not. It's not realistic to.
I don't know. How do you know? If he took steroids, maybe he could be open class bodybuilder. Did he ever try?
Assume that he could have put on 80 pounds in a single year. Makes no sense. And so what I believe
makes absolute sense. Seen a lot of bodybuilders put on over like 100 pounds in a year doing steroids, but it's fake. It's not real.
At least in my own eyes, is that Tristan Lee went on a bulk while taking performance-enhancing drugs.
Oh my God.
If you already made some money with your video editing.
He was eating in a calorie.
Man, I can't hear any more of this fucking garbage, man. How the fuck can people actually listen to this shit? This is garbage.
Surplus. He was eating carbs. He changed his diet, and everything was in order. He had a training coach telling me exactly what to do. And considering the fact that Tristan Lee has had body dysmorphia in the past, he was trying to maintain sub 5% body fat. Do you not think that there is pressure not only from his fans but on himself?
He was trying to retain 5% body fat. He was on a carnivore diet. Hello. He's an ectomorph, Greg. He's an ectomorph.
Look a certain way. And so seeing as he said, hey, I need to have more size, I need more muscle, perhaps he wants to compete in bodybuilding. Can you imagine the pressure to not be natty? Especially in today's day and age where it seems...
Man, he looks absolutely natty. This is just baloney. Whatever. He's a kid, teenager.
Every second influencer is saying, I take this, I take that. They're glorifying steroid use. And so how big of a stretch is it to assume that Tristan Lee would no longer be natural? Now, remember, he's not going to come out and say it. He's not going to say, hey, I took this, I took that. He's not going to glorify steroid.
Why wouldn't he? Why are you talking for him? He can talk for himself, Greg. Come on.
Use. He doesn't have to announce he's taking anything. He doesn't have to tell us what he's doing. It's his own business. But notice,
but if he was, he probably would. Okay, he doesn't care.
He's not saying natural transformation. He's not using the words, I did this while being natural.
Why does he have to use the words natural transfer? Why does he have to say anything? People will scold you for saying natural. Then they assume already you're unnatural right away when you keep using those words.
Natural. I did this 100% drug-free. And so I would have to assume the reason for that is because he doesn't want to lie. People, for the most part, they don't like lying. It's better to...
Greg is jealous of everybody who can do things that he can't do. This is just as crazy.
Avoid the question.
He didn't do anything, man. His lifts have not increased, okay? It's kind of obvious he's not on any steroids. The lifts would be sky high right now, especially if you gain 40 pounds of real muscle, which he did not, okay? And so just because he gained some weight, that doesn't mean he's on steroids. This is ridiculous.
Avoid saying something you don't need to. Unlike, for example, Jeff Seed, who says, hey, I'm a lifetime natural. I haven't...
Jeff Seed, we know he's a phony.
...taken anything ever. Really, Jeff? You had perhaps 20 pounds more muscle in high school than you do now at the age of 29. You were on the Olympia stage in men's physique, and now you're competing in a drug-tested, natural amateur organization. And so you really want us to believe that you had such amazing genetics that you put on all that muscle in high school, and that somehow you peaked as a teenager and since that time have regressed At the age of 29, I don't think that's how it works. And so in comparison, imagine this. Imagine that Tristan Lee is 100% natural right now. You see his size. He's currently 177 pounds.
He is natural, man. His lifts are not extraordinary. His lifts are exactly the same. They're exactly the same as they were before. They're exactly the same as they are now. They never went up. One of the indicators of steroids are your lifts go up extremely high. Look at the Trent twins. They're all benching 500. Are you?
In 10 years from now, do you think that Tristan Lee is going to lose 20, 25 pounds of muscle? That is exactly what's happened to Jeff Seed. And so when I say I don't think Jeff Seed was natural as a teenager, can you see why? And so when I say I don't think Tristan Lee is natural in this transformation, can you also see why? Bros are like 5'1". Well, I know that Rough Diesel is 4'11". He jokingly posts he's 4'11". I know that standing next to him, I'm slightly higher than him. I'm about 5'6¼ inches tall. Rough Diesel about 5'5". Tristan Lee, I assume, was 5'4". Perhaps he's rounding up to 5'5". Remember, anyone under 5'9" is always rounding up in their height, except for Coach Greg, perhaps a few others. But for the most part, the short kings of the world, they're all exaggerating their height. Any of my friends that say they're 5'9", for example, they're the same height as me. And I'm thinking, how are you 5'9"? We're the same height. This is what people are doing. They're perhaps measuring their height while wearing shoes with shoe lifts and so on. This is what short people are going to do. He's big like the top 5 Mr.
Well, whatever, man. This is Greg is really milking it for everything, Jesus.
Olympia, and he claims natty. He is natty. If he was on gear, his delts would be a lot bigger. Apparently, if you're on gear, your delts are huge. But if you're not on gear...
No, your lifts would definitely be a lot higher. No, he looks pretty that looks sarcoplasmic-y, man. For an ectomorph, that's sarcoplasmic. I can train anybody with sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. If you want training, look me up, Genetic Beast. I'm going to teach you how to grow these phony muscles like, what's his name? I can show you how to put on 40, 50, 60 pounds of sarcoplasmic hypertrophy if that's what you really want and look phony and have phony muscles and people think you're taking steroids.
You can put 40 pounds of muscle, but it's just not in your delts. And so that is a clear tell sign. This is ridiculous. You guys automatically assume that just because you're on steroids, you have big delts. Here's a fact. Most people injecting performance-enhancing drugs are doing so in their delts. If you do an injection in your delt, there's going to be inflammation. It's going to swell up. You perhaps will look like you have bigger delts, but it's actually inflammation. The oils that you're injecting combined with the inflammation going to give you a more rounded delt appearance. He's not even big enough to look like he's on gear. Look at the delts of any user, LOL.
Exactly. He's small. He's small.
That's what blows up first, since a lot of androgen receptors on there. He's been training consistently with...
Here's another thing. He'd look totally ripped if he was on steroids, even if he did do sarcoplasmic. If he was like doing sarcoplasmic hypertrophy and he was on steroids and doing that, he would look ripped at the same time while retaining the glycogen in the muscle. He'd look completely ripped. I mean, like shredded, like these shredded people, you know, typical, because that's what steroids do.
Diet and no refined sugar for the last 6 years. So yes, it's achievable. The internet has rotted y'all brains. And so what this person...
See, even the people agree. It's yeah, but they got it wrong about this whole androgen receptor thing. It's sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. There are more than one type of hypertrophy out there. There are different means of hypertrophy. Some are transient and a lot are artificial. The only real one is muscle damage. That's the real hypertrophy. And a cell hypertrophying. A cell can hypertrophy, but it has a domain limit. And you can get more cells through hyperplasia, hypertrophy. Get it? Through muscle damage or an adaptation, whatever.
To believe is that Tristan Lee's been training his ass off for 6 years. No sugars, no refined carbs, none of this shit. And that suddenly he put on 40 pounds. In the previous 6 years, perhaps...
In bodybuilding, Greg, in real bodybuilding, Greg, which you don't know anything about, we call that the rebound effect. I told you before, they do that with chickens and animals. They starve them for a period of time. They starve them, completely starve them, and then they overfeed them really fast, and they just blow up.
He gained a couple pounds here and there each and every year. Was making slow and steady progress. I would argue that he's actually gotten smaller before this transformation. And that suddenly it all just clicked. And why is that? Well, clearly anyone that takes steroids could be much bigger than 177 pounds.
You know, the cytoplasm of a cell is the sarcoplasm as well. Is sarcoplasmic. And then the sarcoplasmic fluid, it fills up around the myofibrils as well. So, yeah, that jelly-like substance that's in there. And, yeah, these cells, they can hold a lot of glycogen. You'd be surprised how much they can hold. And I mean a lot in ATP and energy. But it will compromise your performance in some ways. It'll compromise it.
Pounds. I mean, he's 5'5", 177. Anyone that's on steroid be at least 200. I mean, that's how it works, right? I mean,
yeah, but Greg, how come his lifts haven't gone up if he's on steroids? Why is he still lifting the same weights over and over again? He's adapted. There's no growth going on here. There's zero growth. I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care if he put on 44 pounds or whatever. I don't see any growth. I see zero growth. I see hypertrophy. This muscle's hypertrophy, sarcoplasmic, but I don't see any muscular growth, like real muscle growth.
I, Coach Greg, am taller than Tristan Lee, and I weighed 182 pounds this morning, 5 pounds more than Tristan Lee, and I'm not natty. I'm literally on HRT, and I abuse performance-enhancing drug.
And you're not natty? You're on HRT? Boy, you're on steroids, man. Don't lie.
For 10 years, and I'm an IFBB pro. But, of course, I must be natural because my delta...
Yes, Greg is so natural. Greg is on TRT, guys. If you believe that Greg is on TRT, man, I am the next president of the United States.
They're not massive. And so I'm natural, right? I mean, after all, if I was unnatty, I'd weigh at least, 220.
You look a little flat. You look a little flat because you're not really pumping a lot of glycogen in your muscles.
Anyone that takes steroids clearly weighs at least 200 pounds. This is complete and utter nonsense. The majority of people who take steroids...
I don't know what they weigh, man.
They don't even gain that much muscle. You're thinking, yeah, they all gain 40, 50 pounds. No, it's because you're being shown the top 1% of the top 1%. The best transformations are the ones that you're seeing. And so you assume anyone that takes steroids, well, they're going to look like Derek Lunsford. Growing like a weed. Tristan Lee responds to it, trying to sap. I don't know if that means like ASAP, but when you're growing like a weed means you're growing excessively quick. And if you're doing so while being natural, it's not the case. There's no time that I've ever heard somebody say, I'm growing like a...
Yeah, myofibrillar growth does not grow that fast. It takes time. Like real muscles take time to grow. Now, sarcoplasmic, I told you. Look at Larry Wheels, 54 pounds at the Golden Griddle in 1 week. Is that all muscle he? Is that muscle he built there?
Weed while being natural. Growing like a weed, it's on steroids. When you take steroids, you grow much quicker than when you're natural. How strong is Tristan Lee? Well, while weighing 177 pounds, he's literally dumbbell pressing, incline, 150.
Yeah, he's been doing that before already when he was on carnivore diet.
Each arm, that's 300 pounds.
He's a teenager, man. Your testosterone, your hormones, your body's in the best of repair and everything. Everything's functioning. You're like super strong when you're a teenager. What are you talking about? And he's lifting as a teenager. Jesus, that works for him.
Stronger than most bodybuilders, and so very impressive strength. And so if he is in fact natural, if he was enhanced, what would he be pressing?
Greg had to find the one video that would be look how impressive it is. He's pressing over 100-pound dumbbells. Whoa, ha.
20s? Would he be giving Larry Wheels a run for his money? Probably not. Now remember, just because I'm saying he's not natural doesn't mean I dislike him. He's not a...
Man, Oof power lifter can bench press over 400 pounds. What are you talking about, Greg? He's only pressing, if they are 100 and whatever you said there, I don't know how much he was pressing. You said 150-pound dumbbells in each arm? I don't know. I couldn't see. But let's say it was, so 300 pounds. Are you telling me that he can't bench press 300 pounds, but Oof power lifter can bench press over 400? What are you talking about?
Liar. He's not misrepresenting himself. He's not saying I'm using this supplement or that supplement. He's not saying he's using Turk Builder, Geo2 Max, Acti Builder, or G.
Of course, Geo2 Max, Acti Builder, guys. You know, Acti Builder, you got to buy it now because WADA's gonna ban it because it's a drug. It's a drug, and WADA's gonna ban it because in NCBI PubMed they say it's considered a drug, like a steroid. But of course, Greg is not selling you anything that would be a steroid now, would he? You understand me? He's not selling you steroids because it's not on the banned list of WADA yet. But what happens when it gets on the list of WADA, banned list, and you've already bought them and you have them in your house? Are you taking illegal substances?
Test, he's not
Are
saying
you all fake natties? Are you fake natties?
he's using any of these things, and then saying he put on 40 pounds of muscle by taking a natural supplement. Now, although the
40 pounds of taking a natural supplement? Oh my God. No natural supplement is going to put 40 pounds of myofibrillar growth. It may help you suck more of this glycogen, the artificial growth, yeah.
these natural supplements do in fact work. Of course they do, and you can get them on my website, code Greg 15% off. They're not going to help you to gain.
That report that I brought up in NCBI, they have many reports like that. Do you think that they have faked that when they say sarcoplasmic hypertrophy glycogen? Bodybuilders get this? Come on, man. They said non-contractile elements. What does that mean to you? What does that speak to you? What language are they speaking to you?
40
You think they're speaking a foreign language, something you don't understand? Come on, man. You can read it for yourself. You're intelligent people out there.
pounds in a single year. And even if you were to take steroids, test, trend, and so on, I still highly doubt you're going to put on 40 pounds. I weighed 182 pounds this morning.
Yeah, no, you're going to put on 40 pounds. If you carb load like crazy, especially like him, he rebounded. He rebounded. He was on a carnivore diet for like a long time.
Does anyone think that if I went on a cycle for perhaps 1 year straight, test, trend, D-ball, Anavar, GH,
Oh my God,
peptide,
here we
SARMs,
go.
all of it, do you think that in a year from now,
Then I must be on steroids too, right? Because I weigh 250 pounds. I'm massive and I'm big. I've showed myself in some videos I post. So I must be on steroids too because I weigh 250, right? Right, Greg? Is that it? I must be on drugs, right? Because I understand real bodybuilding and how real bodybuilding works, and I have money. I can actually eat all day and all night and all day and all night if I wish to, and build real myofibrillar growth through, because I'm very patient, through adaptation. Does that mean I'm a fake natty, bro? Come on, man. Jesus. And I have nerve damage, and I still manage somehow. Jeez.
I would be 222
whatever.
pounds with approximately 7% body fat that I have right now?
Whatever.
I don't think so, because if I was,
I think this video is all about Greg. He just keeps going on about himself. Is this about you, or is this about Tristan Lee, dude?
I would be competing in the Mr. Olympia in the
brother.
212 division. That would be a shit ton of muscle, even with steroids.
You see, this is what I was trying to explain to all of you out there. This is the Napoleon complex. This, when you listening to Greg Doucette, he is suffering from Napoleon complex, bro. Get it? The manlet syndrome. And he's reflecting. He's so upset. He's so angry. You know, look at Napoleon, what happened to him, man. A small man running around with a high temper. This is typical jealousy. A manlet syndrome, man. This is Napoleon's complex.
Steroids. Putting on 40 pounds in a year, absolutely remarkable. Not many people can do this. Been
Oh, give me a break, man. Everybody can do that, eating carbs.
eating good, a little too good. Just posted what I've been eating on a bulk and measuring my arms on YouTube, averaging 4,000 plus calories, 550 plus grams.
Is that what they call carbs now? They call it bulk? I guess, okay. If you're eating, let's say you eat a lot of donuts and potatoes and, I don't know, pasta and sugar and this, that, whatever, and you put on a shitload of body weight, and you blow up. Did you build muscles? Do donuts build muscles? Does pasta? Does potatoes? I thought protein synthesis needs to see this breakdown, and there needs to be something there, an adaptation for that growth to take place.
Per day. And so do you really think that he's training 100% natural, that suddenly he can go from eating perhaps
I know. I'm going to be debunked for this video now because I brought up sarcoplasmic hypertrophy myofibrillar. Yes, debunking guy is going to come out and debunk me now again. Okay. You can try to debunk all these NCBI reports, dude, but you lose. You lose because they're in every report, so they can't be lying everywhere now, can they?
2,000 to 2,500 calories a day, and now we can eat 4,000 plus calories a day while not gaining body fat? Do you know what nutrient partitioning is? When you
4,000 calories a day eating, I don't know what he's eating exactly. He just simply blew up. He's an ectomorph, dude. Come on, give me a break.
You eat nutrients,
And he works
foods,
out.
and it turns to muscle. This is nutrient partitioning.
No, it says it turned into non-contractile elements. It's called sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. What bodybuilders get when they start lifting in the gym. Okay? It's glycogen loading. It's glycogen, dude.
When you're on steroids, for example, testosterone or tren, the food that you're eating, rather than turning to body fat,
How can the food that you eat turn into muscle? How big can a muscle cell get? See, that's the question, Greg. How big can a muscle cell get? Do you think you can just eat a bunch of food and that muscle cell is just going to grow, especially on an artificial diet? If you're eating an artificial diet, which is not your human diet, your natural diet is carnivore diet. So when you're eating an artificial diet called carbohydrates, what did you expect? You built artificial muscles called sarcoplasmic muscles. Hello, duh. It's kind of obvious. Look at his before and after picture.
a lot of it is turning to muscle. That's why when you're on enhancement,
How does it turn into muscle? How does it turn into muscle? If there's no adaptation, how does it turn into muscle? How?
it's performance enhancing drugs, you can eat a lot more and remain at the same body fat percentage. And so Tristan Lee has upped his calories by
What? There, he's eating some rice and he's got some vegetables too. Okay. Looks pretty clean to me. I don't see any Coca-Colas or anything there.
about 1,500 calories a day. Do you really think that a natural bodybuilder can up their calories?
So he's trying to stay away from, artificial, this, processed sugar and all that kind of weird stuff. I guess. I don't know. I can't really say for sure. It seems that way. He's eating some man-made plants there, some man-made, artificial, man-made, engineered plants, okay? These vegetables and rice and whatever. Rice got arsenic in it. It's bad for your health. All these things are going to affect his health in the long run.
By 1,500, go on a bulk at a 1,500 calorie surplus, and all of it turns to muscle. When is the
No, all it says non-contractile proteins there. What part do you not under? Man, what part did he not understand?
somebody gone on that dramatic of a bulk, and almost all those calories turning to muscle? I would.
Calories do not turn into muscle. Protein synthesis needs to exceed this breakdown. Carbs do not turn into muscle. Man, and you have to have an adaptation to build real myofibrillar growth, okay? So if you're eating an artificial diet called carbohydrates, you're going to build non-contractile proteins, which is sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, okay?
Argue never. Let me know in the comments section, do you believe
Yeah, never. You're not going to build muscle, not real
Tristan
muscle.
Lee is natural? Do you believe he's enhanced? Do you think I'm just a hater, or am I just
I think he's a sarcoplasmic hypertrophy slave.
preaching facts? Will Tristan Lee set foot on stage, and if so, what division is he going to compete?
My God, because he put on a bunch of fake fucking carbohydrate muscles, he's got to compete on stage and yada yada. Give me a break, Greg.
And how is he going to do?
Greg is insane. It's really, I think the Napoleon complex is really hitting you, Greg. Come on.
Let me hear it in the comments section. Subscribe, click the bell button,
Oh, this is way too much.
comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you liked it. Watch the top
Oh my God, this is wrenching to listen to this guy go on and on. My God.
video, skip the bottom, only watch the top. The cookbooks, the training book.
Oh, yeah. The death book and the fake training book and all that. Yes, okay. We know all about it. Anyways, friends, tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you think about that. Helps with the algorithm, and tell me what you think, man. It's I told you there are two types of hypertrophy. The real type. I'm not talking about transient and all these other types. Okay, the inflammation and all that, faking it with inflammatory responses and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about myofibrillar and sarcoplasmic. It's non-contractile proteins. So you tell me what you think. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, friends.